Hi, I'm Denise, and I'm going to show you how to make cookie bouquets. I actually made my first cookie bouquet a bunch of years ago when my mother won a gardening award in Chicago. And what am I going to send her? Flowers? That's crazy. Seeing as I'm a chef, I thought, I'll send her a cookie bouquet. I can bake. And so the hardest thing to figure out was how was I going to get a cookie on a stick? And I figured that out. So let me go ahead and show you how to do that. These cookies are hot out of the oven. And you want to have a skewer right nearby. And you actually need to put the skewer in and just touch the cookie for a second. After you've baked for a while, your hands get kind of asbestos-like, and you can touch the cookie. So these cookies are going to cool on the rack, and then we'll be able to ice them. As you can see, there are a lot of different options when you're making a cookie bouquet, especially for Halloween. I'm going to show you a couple of different decorating techniques that you'll be able to use on all of your cookies. These cookies have cooled, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the spider web first. This is probably one of my favorites. You need some royal icing. You can check out my royal icing video if you want to learn the recipe for this. This icing will harden up pretty fast. So when you're working with it, you want to be sure that your containers are covered unless you're working with it. So I'm using an offset spatula, and I'm trying to guide all of the icing to the corners of the spider web. You've got to be working kind of fast because the second part where we create the web needs to get down quickly so that we can create the cool web effect. So work as quickly as you can, especially on this one. Speed is important. Almost there. So that part is down, and now I take my piping bag. You can see how to make one of those in the video on the royal icing, and you want to outline your spider web. Now I'm using my dominant hand on the piping bag, and I'm guiding with my non-dominant hand. And once you have one row, then you move this way and you get your next row. And just try to follow the outline of the cookie. By the way, if you don't have a spiderweb cookie cutter, and how many people really do, you can take a big chunk of dough and you can take a round cookie cutter and you can sort of just take bite marks out of it, and that will actually achieve the same effect. The idea when you're piping a long row like that is to try to do it all in one swoop. So I was running out of icing, and now I'm going to tighten up a little bit for my last thing. Go all the way into the middle. You can do a little dot in the middle if you want. Then you take a skewer, and this is the super fun part. You just pull it out this way to make that web effect. If you're familiar with the dessert Napoleon, they actually use the same technique to ice the top of it, although that doesn't really so much look like a spider web. So this icing will take a good couple of hours to dry. I put a pretty heavy coat on. So you want to set that aside, and then once it's dry, you can go ahead and make your cookie bouquet, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now I'm going to show you the technique to make the spider. He's actually pretty easy, although when you're working with a cookie cutter this size with very delicate arms and legs like that, I actually had to get in there with a little knife to press the dough out when I was forming him. If you have, some cookie cutters are designed very easily, like the cat. He came out really fast, but the spider took a little bit of extra prodding, even working with cold dough. So you can see my spider's all decorated. And now all I need to do to make the details is take some sanding sugar. A lot of stores are carrying this. I like to do it on a separate piece of parchment paper because after you shake the extra off, then you can just shake it back into your bowl and you don't lose it all. So the spider only needs some eyes to look kind of creepy, and I'm going to use two colors. I'm going to put white down first. So there's his eyes. I think spiders have more than two eyes, but I don't really have a lot of room there, so I'm just going to do those. All right, so spider's all done. The last guy is the skull and crossbones, and I used the flooding technique where I just put a white base coat down on the skull, and now all I need to do is draw in the details. You can see the pumpkin is the same way. I put an orange base coat down and then I did the details. So the skull here is pretty easy. You have to first put your skull down, like this, and then once you have the sides all set and the jaw, then you can do his creepy eyes. Kind of looks like an alien. And his nose. And then you just need a big old skeletal grin. And whenever you're working with a piping bag, try to start with one line and connect it to the next. That'll help the icing sort of end easily. Now I need a little bit more icing here, so I'm going to make this work this way. When you're doing the bone details, try to get the little indent on the end to make it look especially bone-like. I think I'm going to have just enough. Let's see. Just like the tube of toothpaste, just keep rolling until you get the last of it out. There we go. Alrighty. Skeleton looks good and creepy. By the way, when I put that white base coat down, I let it dry. You don't have to let it dry overnight. I just let it dry for probably about a half an hour. If you had put the black right on top of it while it was wet, it would have blended in, and you wouldn't have seen the details as well. This is the really fun part. Now we're going to take the dried cookies and we're going to go ahead and arrange them. As I said, these should sit out at least a couple of hours, if not overnight, so you don't smudge them. I'm taking floral foam. This is actually specifically dry floral foam. They also sell a wet version, which I don't like as much. You can cut it really easily with a serrated knife to fit your vessel. You can use something Halloween themed, since this is a Halloween cookie bouquet. And if you're just doing a regular old cookie bouquet for another holiday, I love using terracotta pots because they're nice and heavy. You want to take some basket Excelsior and cover up your floral foam just to disguise it a little bit. And comes in a whole bunch of different colors. That's kind of festive. So now we're going to go ahead and arrange the cookies. So remember, we did different size skewers, and the reason we did that is so that you could see each of the cookies. I always like to start with the biggest and in the middle so that I know exactly where it's going. All right. And now, well, the spider's got to get onto his web, so let's put him close by. Now we're going to take all the short sticks and we'll put them out front. Taller ones go in the back, especially if they fly. Vampires would definitely be back here along with ghosts and bats. That's good. Can't quite see him. I'll have to go here. This is a really great project. Cookie bouquets are awesome to do with kids. Whoa! Kitty cat! Get back on the stick. It's actually good that this happened because sometimes they do fall off the stick. You can see here that it just didn't go in deep enough. But what's really great is if I get some of my royal icing back and I ice this and I let it set a good couple of hours, it'll actually sort of bandage it. We'll put him in front for now. There you go, kitty. But royal icing is a great glue and can definitely be used that way. So everything happens for a reason. Look at the pumpkin back here. So I was saying this is a great project to do with kids. I actually had my kids do those, my 4-year-old, 7-year-old, and 9-year-old. It's really fun at all different ages. So here you go. This is the Halloween cookie bouquet, and I hope you guys have a happy Halloween.